welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd. Today, I'm joined by Anthony Oliver, who is a season ticket holder of the Philadelphia Union, and he's a Sons of Ben member. How are you doing today, Anthony?
I'm good, Todd. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. You know, we're just rolling in the year 2020. I've had, I think, 4 or 5 episodes now, and 8 or 9 days it's been and everything. So, I mean, it's been good and everything, talking to just a whole bunch of different fans and everything, getting different fans' opinions and everything. And now I can check you off my list, and you're finally here. So thank you for coming on.
Anytime. Thanks. I appreciate having me on.
So first off, like I've been starting with everybody else, why don't you tell me how you became a fan of the Philadelphia Union?
Sure. So I think it was back in 2011, I want to say. A buddy of mine said, hey, I got an extra ticket. Why don't we go see the Philadelphia Union? I had never been. So I said, sure, I'll tag along. And I believe they were playing at Galaxy at the time. And so it was David Beckham was still on the team. And, you know, we had pretty good seats. We were probably only 5 or 10 rows up, and just kind of fell in love with it. I mean, I grew up playing soccer, so I did love it. But I was at the point where at the time I had partial Philly season tickets. And after going to that game, the following season, I think it was 2012, I said, let me grab a partial package and see what this is about. And I mean, it was probably the first or second game I went to. I said, I'm going to definitely get full season tickets next year. So 2013 was the first full year that I had, and I've had full season tickets ever since.
Yeah, so I'm a big Manchester United fan, and that's how I got into MLS in the first place was David Beckham. I mean, how was that experience seeing David Beckham live in person?
It was awesome. I mean, he was just a different caliber, a different level above the rest. I mean, anybody would know that, but it's just seeing him, everybody went nuts. It's kind of like Zlatan today. You know, when he comes around, everybody just gawks at him, but just the class is just a different level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've had a couple season ticket reps and people that have worked for the Union tell me that David Beckham told him that Talent Energy Stadium's the most intense atmosphere he's played in MLS. So I don't know if that's them, you know, just trying to boost what Talent Energy Stadium is, or if that's exactly what David Beckham said. But I mean, if he did say that, I mean, that's an awesome compliment. And we already know that Talent Energy is not the biggest in MLS. We know that, you know, there's things that could be better about the stadium, but, you know, it's ours. And just the views of that whole stadium, I think there's not a bad seat in the house and everything. And so to get that compliment from David Beckham, I think that's a check that the Union can just brag about to all the rest of the teams. But so how'd you get involved with becoming a Sons of Ben member?
Yeah, no, that's great too. I didn't know that about that back then, so that's cool if that is true. So with Sons of Ben, I didn't know what it was all about in the end at River End. So I think I don't think I joined right away, but once I started learning more about the Union, it probably was the first year that I had a full season package. 2013, either then or 14 is when I joined and started going to the tailgates, and that's when the tailgate was all the way over, backing over in Lot C. And I remember telling friends of mine, just, you know, the package is like $30, and it's free food, free beer. I don't know how you can beat it. So, and meeting people over there, I mean, everybody's welcoming. I think one time we even had another, I think it might have been when NYC came into town, or it might even have been the Red Bulls, maybe not, but they tailgated with us. I just thought, you know, wait, this is a rival, but, you know, it's kind of cool that, you know, outside the game, we can still get along, and, you know, everybody thinks, you know, Philly this, Philly that, but, you know, we're the first ones to welcome with open arms and a beer before the game, and just not during. So that was cool too.
Yeah, that is definitely cool. I know when 2019 was the first year I went to games and everything, you know, I was a little bit concerned and everything, just pulling up to the stadium and everything and seeing that there was a lot of Toronto fans walking around with red, because when I went up to the stadium, before I went up to the game and everything, I read online, they're like, yeah, don't wear red to a Union game and everything. I'm like, am I going to see a fight out here in the parking lot and everything? Because I see all these Toronto fans out here tailgating and everything, and I've heard all the warnings, don't wear red and everything. So I was like, please don't tell me I'm going to see a fight. But nah, everybody got along and everything. And you're right. I mean, all these stereotypes, Philly this, Philly that. I went to every single game this season but 2 and never experienced a problem, never saw a problem. And I think people just welcome anybody, no matter what your background is, with open arms. And that's the way it should be. But I want to move on, though, to your 3 favorite games from last season, and don't say the playoff game.
no surprise. I mean, the Ilsinho game, I probably watched the highlight reel over and over again, but at least 10 times. I mean, that was just insane. And honestly, I don't really have two other ones. It seems like every game is just, I don't know. I just enjoy it so much. Really, one of the most memorable ones is, and I'll just jump to different years because this season was great, but two real top highlights that I probably have are the Barnetta goal, the free kick goal. I don't remember if it was 17 or 18. I just remember having a few minutes left in the game, and I turned to my friend that I was with there at that game and just saying, like, imagine this goes in. Like, wouldn't it be awesome if he just curls the thing in? And then the angle we had was perfect, and we just couldn't believe it. I mean, again, I know it's not this season, but it was just insane. And then I do remember also I went with my dad one time, and I think this was, I don't know if it might have been 2013. I think it was when Carlos Ruiz kicked that wonder goal from basically what felt like midfield, and it hit the post and went in, or a crossbar and went in. And I don't know, again, not this season, but those are some of the top two highlights that I remember. Just, almost just getting choked up, like, wow, this is wild.
Because, I've been asking, everybody knows listening to this podcast, if you've listened to the first episode to now this episode, I asked pretty much the same standard questions, and a lot of people give the same answers and everything. So, yeah, maybe I should open it up and be like, give me your 3 favorite moments from all time and everything. Because, I mean, like you said, there's so many memorable moments last season, and a lot of people have been giving the same answers and everything. So, I guess I'll just start with you. Now, Anthony, you're going to start the trend, and I guess from now here on out, people can give me their 3 favorite moments of all time with the Union and everything, and we'll see if we can get some different answers and everything. But I mean, there's no denying just last season was something special. It was a historical year and everything, and I'm hoping the team could just build on that going forward. And there's no reason in my mind that I don't see them not building on that. I mean, like I've said on Twitter plenty of times, in Ernst we trust. I mean, he hasn't failed us yet, and I don't think he's going to fail us. But what player last season surprised you the most?
I kind of agree with you when you bring up Elliott. I mean, Elliott, I always was a defender growing up, so I have love for the defense first and foremost. Elliott surprised me in a good way because I kind of had high expectations for him, and he almost surpassed him. I mean, what did he have? I think maybe 4 goals last year.
Yeah,
3 or 4, and besides that, I mean, stellar defense. So as much as I wanted to hold him to a higher standard and expected him to play that well, odds of that happening were probably slim. So I do have to agree with you. Elliott's definitely up there. Kai Wagner and Monteiro, those two obviously were, you've been saying it as well in the previous episodes, nobody knew who these people were. I mean, you always hope as to trust Tanner or whoever was at the helm in previous years. They bring these guys over. They're not a big name player. So you just hope they're paying out, and plenty of them have not. So it's nice to see that seems like he knows what he's doing and can get guys sort of on the cheap that become favorites and become people that, they're head turners in the league. I mean, I don't think anybody expected Kai either to be as good as he is. And I hope to see him basically replace Fabinho as the new young stud left back that can be with us for many years to come, I would hope.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I mean, I think a lot of people are going to argue it was either Brad Smith of Seattle or Kai Wagner for the best left back in the league. And, it looks like Brad Smith's, I think he is back with Bournemouth now over in the English Premier League and everything. And I know Seattle wanted to retain him and everything, but he had aspirations to go and try to break into that Bournemouth team and everything. And you can't blame a player that was playing over in Europe, and if they think they still have it and they want to go test themselves again, I mean, you can't fault them for that and everything. And, I'm kind of under the impression if Kai Wagner has another stellar year again, and hopefully he gets more national attention than he did last season, this guy could be going back over to Europe and maybe playing in the Bundesliga or maybe in a lower English team, or who knows, just someplace in Europe and everything, which, we would hate for that to happen, but, it would be good on Kai. And, if anything, I think that would be good for the Union. I mean, we would be losing a really, really good player, but that just tells young players in Europe, if it's not working for you out in Europe, but you want to try to get back there, come to us and we'll condition you. MLS is a good league to establish yourself and to get you to enjoy soccer again. And, I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, it would suck to lose any of our good players, but, if younger players in Europe can say, hey, look, it didn't work out for these guys the first time, but they played a year or two over in MLS, and they were really, really good. And now teams in Europe want us again. Then there's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, yeah, I do understand a lot of people, you buy these jerseys and you expect a player to be here for a couple years so you can enjoy that jersey. But at the end of the day, it's a business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't expect these guys to stay around for forever. And if they're going to use it as a stepping stone and use it as a tool to advance, all the better for them. I mean, you do the same thing if you were, trying to advance your career. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. But I want to move on, though. I've been asking this question. I mean, we know Ilsinho and Jamiro Monteiro are out of contract. We'll talk about Jamiro a little bit later. But Ilsinho, do you see him coming back to the Union next season?
I think so. I think you have to keep him. I mean, what do the numbers say? He's basically the best sub in all of MLS, or at least maybe top 3. I know we don't like to spend money. I know that, we want a big name player. I definitely want a bigger name player. But how do you not keep the super sub there? He's a fan favorite. He loves Philly. I think one of your previous guests said, they might not want to overpay him because he's a little bit up there in age, but I think you kind of have to overpay him a little bit. I don't think he's going to want an astronomical number, but he's electric. I mean, how wild does the stadium get when he comes off the bench? I think you almost have to keep him around.
Yeah, I agree. And I've said this the last couple of episodes where it's kind of been telling on social media. If you're following the Union, they've been using pictures of Ilsinho and everything. And so it's like, why would you use pictures for a player if he's not coming back? So, I'm hoping that something's close to being done with Ilsinho. And I think we can all agree, in this stage of Ilsinho's career, he's not a starter, but I mean, he's so good coming off the bench. And with the trade of Fafa Picault, who was a good weapon coming off the bench for us, and we'll get to Fafa right after this, is who else do we have on the bench? We have nobody. And I guess you can make the argument Sergio Santos, but I think, Sergio, I think he's going to be a starter next season. And like I said last episode with Ed, sometime in February, go over my starting lineup for the first game and everything. But speaking of Fafa Picault, do you think it was a good move to trade him to FC Dallas for $375,000?
I think so. I mean, you have Burr coming back. You have Santos, who I think everybody is kind of higher on this year, where, Chibuko played great. I don't want to take anything away from him. I don't think anybody expected him to have the season he had, but it was almost like there was an odd man out. I mean, Fafa consistently had the tagline that he didn't really fit here, and he fit as far as his personality goes. I mean, everybody I think was sad to see him go, but he just was the odd man out. And there's really no point to have 4 guys that could be considered to be strikers, even though he did sort of play on the left wing, kind of, especially if they do plan to bring someone else in. And last year you had Fabian in there that was maybe considered the another striker as well. I mean, there was someone that was odd man out. So I think it's a good move. I think that they still should bring someone else in to give some competition and really to sell some jerseys. I know it's not our mantra. I know that's not, we're the Moneyball team, but let's make a splash. We've been saying it for years. We got Bedoya, who was good. We got a few other bigger names, but no one that was a monster player. I think a lot of people might disagree with that because we like to go with the Moneyball style, but at some point you have to, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we'll get to all the latest rumors and everything because, I mean, they have been popping off the last couple of days on social media. And yeah, I mean, I'm not one to get overly excited for rumors and everything, but in MLS and everything, I don't know. I mean, I feel like you always see your Gareth Bale rumors or your Luka Modric. I mean, those are the two we've been seeing a lot of the last couple of days. And I feel like that's just MLS just plopping in big European player names and everything. And, let's see if this sticks. Let's see if there's actually any truth to this. But we've been seeing a lot of young, nobody knows who these players are over in Europe kind of players, kind of like we saw with Jamiro Monteiro last season, where they're being linked with the Union. And, I'm fine with players like that and everything. And I kind of feel like, if we're seeing rumors like this, then there's definitely something going on behind the scenes, whether or not a deal gets done. But before we talk about any of that, what about the trade of Auston Trusty to Colorado for $750,000?
I think that's a good move too. I mean, you kind of have a similar situation, right? You have an odd man out there. Someone had to win the battle in the back. I know you probably would get to it later, but you have Collin as a backup for probably more cheap than Trusty would want. and he went down with a little bit of, I think he had an injury or he tweaked something at some point. Not to mention he had a couple games that were iffy in there. I mean, the same thing happened to, Richie Marquez, sort of. Richie Marquez went down with an injury and then couldn't really find his way back in the starting lineup. And you kind of have to move on. You can't, it's a business. You can't keep everyone around and keep everybody happy. So why not get a little bit of cash for him, send him to Colorado with Keegan, and hopefully he does well there. I mean, we wish him all the best. I liked him here. I had no issue with him, but, I don't think you can't keep everybody around. So there's going to be someone that gets squeezed out every year or every few years.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And, I mean, you hate to see a homegrown player get traded and everything, but I think at the end of the day, Auston had his chances and everything. And when he lost his spot, whether that was by McKenzie or Collin, he just couldn't get back in the lineup. And I think going forward, the best center back partnership is going to be Jack Elliott and Mark McKenzie. And I do think eventually we probably will lose Mark McKenzie too, because I think him and Auston have the potential to play in Europe. I won't say they're good enough to play in Europe yet, because if they were, they'd be over there by now. But I think they have the potential to play over there. And I think, if anything, Mark McKenzie is probably a little bit more established than Auston Trusty. And I know with me saying that, then people are like, oh, then why wouldn't you keep Auston Trusty right now? Well, he had an option and then his contract was up. So it's better to get money now than to lose him for free, because I got to imagine that him and his agent were probably trying to get a new contract right now, but the union were like, well, you're a third center back right now. We're not going to pay you a crazy amount of money just to be number 3. And you had your chances to become the number 2. So it just doesn't make sense financially. And like you said, the union aren't spending a ton of money and everything. So you're not going to waste money on a player that had his chances and, that's gone to the media. It said some smart comments and everything. So it's just better to cut your losses and, good luck to Auston. But at the end of the day, it is a business. But I want to move on to the signings. And like you said, yes, we're going to talk about it. The re-signing of Aurelien Collin. Are you happy with that deal?
I think so. I didn't see the numbers on it. Do you have those at all with what his contract is?
I haven't seen them, no.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't imagine it's too pricey. I think you need a veteran guy in the back. I mean, I'm okay with it. He makes some risky tackles. Everybody's mentioned it. No big deal. I mean, it's going to happen, but I don't mind it. I think he's a solid backup. He was always good to play against when he was on the Red Bulls, when he was on Orlando. Yeah, I think might have even been a couple other teams too, but I always hated playing against him. So yeah, he might have lost a step or whatever, but big deal. I think he's good to have as your third or maybe even fourth center back. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I am too. And he's a guy who's been in the league for such a long time, and he's a guy who can mentor some of these younger players, and especially if we make some new signings and everything, he can mentor those guys coming into the league for the first time. And I just pulled it up. So Collin last season was getting paid $175,000, so that's not a ton of money at all. So I'd imagine it's probably around the same number, if not a little bit cheaper, because I don't see why you would overspend for a guy who seems like he's happy with Philadelphia. He knows his role and everything. So if it's less than that, then that's great for them. But if it is $175,000, then that's fine too. But for the people that are arguing, this is a horrible move and everything, I mean, you do need that depth, and especially with the U.S. Open Cup. I know the Union, that wasn't their goal last season, to make a deep run and everything. That was evident when they played DC United and got knocked out, which they almost beat DC United with their B squad. So
let's say you don't re-sign Collin, right? And you went with Trusty instead, right? So you save $150,000 on Collin, but I mean, Trusty's going to want to get paid a little bit. So, and still be the odd man out. So you want to have an unhappy third defenseman or third center back that's making, call it $400,000. I don't know what his price would be, but even if it's $300,000, you're talking double what Collin makes, and he's not happy in the back, and he's not a veteran. So that's why I think it's a better move. I don't think people think about the alternative when they, jump to a conclusion about it being a bad sign for Collin.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like he's good enough, and he'll do the job in the U.S. Open Cup. And if we need him to fill in for a game here and there in the league, then I think he can do more than enough of a good job. I mean, I know he made some mistakes last season, but what center back doesn't make mistakes and everything? I mean, I feel a lot more better with Collin in the back, just trying to find a word, than I would, I guess, Auston Trusty just having an attitude because he wants to get paid a lot more money. Not saying that, Collin's better than Auston Trusty, but for a player that's angry that he's not getting paid and he's not starting all the time and everything, I don't know this, but it kind of seems like, Auston, he let something get to him last season. And I feel like that wasn't why he was on top of his game, whether that was money, whether that he was dealing with stuff. I don't know. I mean, all we can do is speculate. And I really didn't want to throw Auston Trusty under the bus. But, I'm happy with the Collins signing, and I feel like people should just come around to it. But, we're all entitled to our opinions. But the other signing that we did was Jose Andres Martinez, a.k.a. El Brujo, the sorcerer, the wizard. The Union have paid a reported transfer fee of $325,000 to Zulaya FC. El Brujo has signed a 2-year deal with a 3rd-year option. He's a center defensive midfielder, so, just makes sense on paper that he's going to replace Harris. What are your thoughts on this?
It was tough because I did like Harris a lot. I think from one of the pieces, I cannot remember who wrote it, I apologize, but when they interviewed Harris, kind of wanted him out or thought he was towards the tail end of his career in Philly. I feel bad because he seems like a great guy. He was like a really good player. I mean, we saw that firsthand, but he was lacking at defense. Granted, you're going to get that grainy video of El Brujo. That just shows his highlights. So of course it looks great. He's quick. He can make a tackle, but it's going to be tough until he gets here and we see him in person. I'm sure that, if he makes one mistake the first game, we're going to be, all flipping out. Where's Harris or where's someone else? Who is this guy? But I'm hopeful. I think I would hope it's a good signing. If he's got a nickname like that, I want to say Adam Booth might have mentioned on his interview in that league, you got to be something special maybe, or is it just some kind of ploy? But I hope he's going to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. I am too. And you're right. It was Adam Booth. And the article that Anthony was referring to was Jonathan Tannenwald. Earlier, I forget what episode it was, but I did go over that whole article and everything and gave the quote and everything. And yeah, it sucks losing Harris and everything. But, at the end of the day, it's a business decision. That's what it comes down to. And yeah, it sucks. We might lose some of our favorite players and everything, but none of us are sporting directors, and Ernst isn't going to destroy this team just for the sake of it. He's going to do what's best for this team, and if not having Harris on this team going forward is what he thinks is the best decision, then we just got to trust him and everything. Yeah, Harris is great at set pieces. Yeah, he is a great veteran leadership, but the big knock on Harris was he doesn't cover defensively and everything. And yeah, that might be true and everything, but at the end of the day, we just got to trust Ernst. That's really all I can say. But I want to move on. Like you said a little bit earlier, you said Corey Burke, he is back with the Union. He got his visa issues approved and everything, so he'll be back with the team at the start of training camp. Are you happy with Corey Burke coming back?
Yeah, I am. My only slight complaint, which everybody does in this league, is for his size, he shouldn't be going down as easy as he does. Sometimes he seems to flop a little bit more than I think most of the true Philly fans want to see. We're from Philly. We don't want to see these guys just go down and roll around on the ground. Unless you're Ilsinho, then you get a pass. But you're 6'2" or 6'3". You might even be taller than that strong striker. Tall. You shouldn't be going down like that. But he played great when he was with us. So aside from that small little gripe, I can see him scoring a ton of goals. I don't know if it's going to be him or Santos. If I had to guess of who would be our leading scorer, I would hope that one of those guys gets to 15 goals. Hopefully 20. It's never happened, I don't think, with us, but it would be great to see one of those guys do that, or as a tandem, maybe get 30 combined. But if they can work up top together, I think that'd be an awesome duo.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's definitely going to be Casper up top, and then it's either going to be Santos or Corey Burke, and whichever one of them's on the bench. That's not a bad option coming off the bench. You got to love Sergio Santos' pace coming off the bench, and we saw it when he was healthy last season that he caused problems for the opposition just with his pace and everything, and he has really decent shot on him too. No, it's not perfect and everything, but it's good enough for MLS and everything, and he has a full off season to train and everything, and he knows what it takes to play in this league now and everything. I think Sergio is going to have a huge season next season. Same with Corey Burke. He basically missed the whole 2019 season, and he was the leading goal scorer in Jamaica when he was over there on loan. And I know that's not saying much, but this is a player, who has so much to prove and everything. And he wants to be back here with his team. He wants to show MLS, yeah, he's a capable striker. And he wants to get into that Jamaican national team. And so I think Corey Burke's going to do everything in his power to take advantage of every opportunity that he is given. But I want to move on, though, to the rumors and whatnot. And I will start off with Jamiro Monteiro. So according to Jamiro's club, FC Metz, last week, them and the Union are still in negotiations to secure a permanent deal for Jamiro. In my opinion, the transfer fee is probably going to be between $2 to $3 million, and I think the salary is probably going to be around the same too. So, in your opinion, one, do you want Jamiro back, and two, do you think it happens?
I do want him back. I think anyone would be silly to say they don't want him back. He kind of controlled our entire midfield last year, but I am surprised that they want that much for a transfer fee. To think that you'd have to pay, $2 to $3 million for a transfer, and then another. I mean, I could see a $2 million to $3 million salary, but I was hoping the transfer fee was a little bit less. But I think you have to pay him. We have to start spending more money. Again, would love to see a bigger name guy, but why not have someone that knows the system, that played well last year, that everybody's like, that seems to not make many mistakes. I mean, he might hit the ball on a shot once in a while, but I'll take that once a game if he's going to be feeding these amazing passes through and be able to see the field the way he does all day long. I mean, I think you have to resign him.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And this guy was just so well for the midfield. I mean, he was winning back so many balls. And I've said this before, when he was in trouble, he used a skill move here and there and got himself out of the trouble and everything. And it was unfortunate that he got hurt in Orlando and everything, because, I mean, he was just getting better and better as the game went on and everything. And then he missed a couple weeks due to his injury and everything. And I feel like that kind of slowed things down and everything. And so I just imagine just how much better could Jamiro have been last season if he would have been healthy the whole season? How much better could the Union have been? And I guess we could say the same thing if Casper wouldn't have got hurt at the end of the season. But, at the end of the day, every single team in the league, they deal with people getting hurt, and that's why you got to spend money to have good backups and everything. So I would love to see Jamiro back, and I've been saying, I think the Union can afford the transfer fee, and I think they could afford to pay him just with Marco Fabian, Harris Mendunian, Fafa, Picault, Auston, Trusty, their contracts coming off the book and everything. It's just, I think Jamiro probably wants to play in Europe and everything. He was a guy who got iced out at FC Metz, came over to Philadelphia, and kind of rejuvenated his career, and he seemed to be enjoying his soccer and everything. So I think he'll probably want to give European soccer a go again. But that said, maybe some team over there is not going to pay him $2 to $3 million a year, and maybe he is a player that cares about money a little bit. But I would want Jamiro to come over here because he wants to play for Philadelphia, not so much for the money. But we'll see what happens with that. But the next rumor is a left winger, left midfielder from the Czech Republic. He plays for Bohemians 1905. That player is Jan Vodháněl. According to iSport CZ, the Union are interested in signing the 22-year-old Jan Vodháněl. Like I said, he plays for Czech side Bohemians 1905, and he has a contract with the club until December 31st, 2021. Like I said, he plays as a left winger, a left midfielder, but there are thoughts that he could play on the left side of the diamond. According to a new report, though, to iSport CZ, Bohemians rejected the first bid from the Union, but Jan is hopeful another bid comes as he wants to play for the Union. He called MLS his quote-unquote dream. The rumors are that the Union offered $700,000, but Bohemians want $1 million. So we know the Union don't really use wingers. We saw them get rid of Fafa, Picault, and they got rid of David Accam. And there's a guy who's played as a left winger most of his career. He's 22 years old, but, with people thinking that, yeah, he could fill in at that number 8, play on the left side of the diamond, that kind of tells me that, okay, well, maybe he's plan B if we don't get Jamiro. Maybe this is the guy who they think that could fill Jamiro's spot and everything. Maybe they could get both Jamiro and Jan Vodháněl. What are your thoughts on this, though?
Yeah, I'm kind of torn here because I want to trust Tanner for this deal. Again, it's one of those players that you don't really find some highlights on, but again, what's that really going to show you until they're here? But that was kind of my thoughts exactly. You got rid of Fafa. So if he's the same kind of player as Fafa, and if he's not, if he can move in a little bit, I would almost rather see Brendan Aronson in that role. So I don't know if you necessarily need it. It's nice that someone wants to come play here. I mean, I'm all for that. So it might even help as far as he might even take a little bit of a discount on his salary, but it's not going to stop the club from wanting that $1 million transfer fee. So you're still going to have to pay that regardless. But I don't know. I mean, young player wants to be here. I'd say give him a shot, but I don't want to see him come in and immediately be the odd man out. You know, I mean, I was pumped when Akam got signed. I thought he was a great player. I know it didn't go all in his favor really, but I was so pumped to see him, and I really did like Fafa, but it seems like both have got squeezed out. So I don't know if I don't know if a true left winger is something that we necessarily need, but who knows? I mean, Tanner knows a hell of a lot more than I do, so I'll trust him. And if he wants him, I would assume he's good.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And then the latest rumor is a player that was at the Philadelphia Eagles game against the Dallas Cowboys on December 23rd, I believe that was. That player is Matej Oravec. According to Paolo Polovsky, the Union are interested in the 21-year-old Slovakian defensive midfielder Matej Oravec. According to transfermarket.com, Matej can also play as a center back and a right back. He has a contract that runs until June 30th of 2022, and I would guess his club would ask anywhere between $500,000 to $1 million since he just arrived at his club this summer. And Matej, he has played in the Champions League and the Europa League qualifiers, along with starting in 16 of his club's 18 games this season. And in 2018, he was nominated for the Golden Boy Award in 2018, which is a player that's nominated as the best young footballer for the year. So what are your thoughts on this latest rumor?
Well, if he comes in here, I mean, we've all been kind of clamoring for a new right back. Everyone loves Gaddis. Everyone wants to see him score. You know, I don't think anyone wants to see someone take his spot. But it's obvious that in the back of everyone's head, it's like if he wasn't such a nice guy, we'd want him out of here sooner than later. So, you know, I hate to even say that, but I think if he's going to replace him, maybe it's the right direction. Again, it's kind of a bummer to see that, you know, it's another, not a big name player, but it's going to be someone in the back that you're replacing instead of saying, hey, you know, we're getting a big name striker or something. But I think if Tanner thinks it's the necessary tools, then people don't really want to say it, but maybe we need to replace Gaddis, and maybe they stick him right on that right back slot and he fits right in. I mean, if he is the golden boy and you got Kai on the left and him on the right, you could have, you know, arguably the best defensive back line in the league, and at a pretty young age too. I mean, what the average age with Elliott and McKenzie there, I mean, that's a solid back line for the next 5 years, 10 years. Maybe not 10, but
yeah.
5.
Yeah, you're looking at a back line for 23, 24 years old, an average back line, and that is really, really young. And I'm curious to see, I don't have it in front of me, that might be the youngest back line in all of MLS. But, you know, if you're talented, hey, age is just a number. For some things, I should say. Don't let me get in trouble, you know, for some things. But, you know, I think out of these three rumors and everything, this one is probably the most likely to get done, because why would you be at a Philadelphia Eagles game? You're from Slovakia. Why would you spend your Christmas in Philadelphia when you have no links and everything? So something's telling me that he's met with Tanner, he's met with Jim Curtin, that they're probably close to a deal and everything, because I just can't picture that you would randomly come to Philadelphia to come see a football game. I mean, in cold Philadelphia in December, I mean, you have options to go out west and everything where it's warmer, or down south to Florida to watch warmer football and everything. So, you know, for any of these rumors, I would love the Union to make 3 signings right here, and, you know, and then hopefully bring in a striker, and then we'd be set. But, you know, we can only go off of what they are, and that's what they are, rumors. The latest breaking news, though, is Ajayi is announced as the Union's new eMLS player. I'm not big into eMLS and everything, and honestly, like, I didn't really know what this was until I looked it up. And yeah, I'm 23 years old, so I should know what eMLS is and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't care about professional video gaming and everything. But as soon as I type in Ajayi's name and everything, I'm seeing NFL.com, Yahoo, ABC. I'm seeing ESPN, TMZ, so many websites that are talking about the Philadelphia Union and Ajayi. Like, this is the most press that we've got, I feel like, ever. And it's not because of a signing. It's not what we've done on the field. It's because of a video game. So what are your thoughts on this?
I think any news is good news, especially something like this. again, even I mean, I'll play video games, but I'm not big into eMLS. I'd probably get crushed if I tried to play anyone in FIFA anyway. But I mean, I think it's good. He played for the Eagles. You know, it's bringing news to Philly, to the Union. If it gets one more fan, great. You know, I mean, the fact that, like you said, all those outlets are showing news about it, I think it's only a positive thing, really. Even if it's sort of meaningless, you know, it's not that big name player that we want or something for the team. This might have almost gotten more news because he's linked to the NFL than if we did make a big name signing just across the general sports platforms anyway. So as much as everybody might not know anything about it, it's still just going to be news for us.
I've seen people say on Twitter, you know, even if he gets knocked out in the first round of the competition, it doesn't matter because of all the publicity that he brought. I mean, I think last season the Union had a player called Dulstra, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, Cormac Dooley, I think his name was.
Yeah, there we go.
That.
Yeah, and he won like the whole tournament and everything, and he didn't get nearly enough coverage as Jay Ajayi is getting. He hasn't even played his first game yet, so it's I don't think it matters if he wins, and if he does win, if he does make some noise, just imagine just even more press conferences and just even more press surrounding this team and everything. And I don't know, maybe that would get players excited to potentially come to this team. Just you guys have a Super Bowl winning running back on your team playing for your eMLS club. Let me go check out what it's like playing in Philadelphia. Let me go see what this atmosphere is like. Why, if this guy's happy, he was a Super Bowl winning running back, let me go see why he's happy there and everything. So like you said, I mean, any coverage is good coverage.
Same thing with Kevin Durant. I mean, I don't know what that was about, if it's even anything worth talking about, but anytime you get another professional athlete involved, I think it's going to help. You know, as much as the MLS, I don't. Maybe it's the next big thing. Maybe it's nothing. But you have Jay Ajayi. If Durant buys a portion of the team, I mean, I think it can only be positive, I would imagine.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And I mean, again, I mean that is super random for Kevin Durant to show up in Chester and everything with Jim Curtin and Jay Sugarman and everything. So I gotta imagine, you know, he was kind of feeling to see if the Union would sell some of their shares, because we know that he tried to buy DC United a few seasons ago and they said no to him twice and everything. So I mean, it looks like Kevin Durant's interested in getting a part of soccer, and we've seen James Harden do it out in Houston. We've seen Russell Wilson do it out with the Seahawks, and we've seen professional athletes invest into MLS clubs and everything. And again, I mean, whether or not if it's a big stake or not, I mean, if he could get us that one big DP signing, I think we'd all be happy with it.
Yeah, I think so too. As far as I mean, I'm excited. What is it, a month and a half away or something like that? I mean, it seems like the end of the season ends and you're like, all right, I'll take a little bit of a break. And then 2 weeks later, like, oh man, you know, I missed the games already. So at least we got to go to one home playoff game this year, when normally it's like, wow, we moved for the bottom seed, we might make the playoffs, but it's not going to be a home match. But the fact that we're only about a month away is nice. So I'm ready for the home opener. It's been long enough.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too, and I'm seeing a lot of people on Twitter talking about, what away games are we going to go to? And I kind of want to go to the Nashville game or the Atlanta game and everything. I know both of those guys play in NFL stadiums and everything, and a lot of people want to go and see soccer-specific stadiums and everything. But it's like, man, I'm just itching to go to a lot more games than I went to last season. And I live in Maryland and everything, so I definitely need to go down to DC United Stadium and everything and travel with you guys down there to cheer on the team and everything. I kind of want to go up to New Jersey and see them take on the Red Bulls and everything, but it's like, I'm just so ready for the season to start and everything. And I'm even excited for the first game against FC Dallas, even though, you know, I can't be there at the game and everything. I mean, MLS is here, baby, and it's a month and a few more days and everything. And I know training camp starts in 11 days. So, I mean, yeah, it's just right around the corner. And hopefully, you know, the players and the league, they get this whole CBA agreement settled and everything. Hopefully we don't go into a lockout, because I feel like if they go into a lockout, then everybody's excitement's just going to go away and everything. But, you know, at the same time, you know, I do want the players to get what's best for them and everything. But if that involves a lockout, then, you know, I guess we're going to have to see when the league starts again. But fingers crossed that they get everything that both sides want.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you definitely have to get down to DC. I went to my first my first Sons of Ben road trip last year to DC, and what a game. I mean, you couldn't have asked for anything better. Basically sent Bernie back to Europe, so that was cool. And I've only been to that stadium, the New York Red Bull Stadium, and then I actually was out in Salt Lake, so I have seen Rio Tinto out in Salt Lake. That was pretty cool too. Good fans out there, very welcoming, so it was fun. But I agree. I want to get to an Atlanta game this year or something. I mean, 80,000 fans, or even if it's 70,000, it's insane. You'd basically be like going to Europe to see somebody play.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I read too that Atlanta, for 6 games this season, they're going to open up the whole stadium. And so the Union got selected for one of those games. So that's probably going to be a sold out game, in my opinion, and everything. So, like, the more Union fans we get down there, I mean, like you said, I mean, that's as big as some European stadiums and everything. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll see if how cheap I can find tickets and everything. And I know a lot of people have already talked about going down there. So the more fans, the better. But let's talk about the first playoff win against the New Jersey Pink House.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was a tough first half. I think anybody would be lying if they said they weren't sweating. When we came back, the first goal, it was like, okay, there's some life here. But then when we went down 3-1, it's like, man, are we going to really lose at home to this damn team again? So the fact that we did pull it out and seeing that shot hit the post and go in from Fabian, I mean, I think half the guys in my section were falling down, just laughing, like screaming. We didn't know what to do. It was nuts. It was the magic moment. I hope it happens again. But maybe not that. Maybe not that nail biting. We need a clean cut win. I can't keep dealing with these close wins or losses either way.
I sat in the river in that game 138 where I normally sit, and I was hugging so many fans and high-fiving so many people once that goal went in. And then just as soon as they blew the whistle and everything, I just was like stuck in awe and everything. I didn't say anything. I didn't move. I was just like, holy crap, like they actually did this. Like all of us fans came out here in the pouring down rain and everything, and we saw them fight back twice from being down, and to see them cap it off with Marco Fabian getting that game-winning goal, I mean, that's a moment none of us will ever get. And I say it all the time on the podcast. I every week I go back to watch highlights of that game because it's just so electrifying. And if you're feeling down, just go type in that playoff game and everything, and that's guaranteed to get you feeling good about yourself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But I'm going to ask you a new question that I haven't asked anybody else. So we saw in 2018, Sebastian Letou get introduced into the Ring of Honor. In your opinion, who do you think is the next player to get introduced?
Oh, I'd love to see Danny Califf in there. I'm probably biased because, again, I was a defender growing up. Love Danny. I think he's a good guy. I think he kind of got ousted here when Nowak decided to go on a tear and get rid of anybody he didn't care for and have kind of put us 3 steps backwards. But definitely want to see Danny Califf. I think he's a fan favorite. Everybody loves him. But if you took a poll of most beloved players here, I think Letou is definitely number 1, but Califf's got to be a close second. So definitely him.
Yeah, definitely. I asked somebody, I think off mic, do they think Harris Mendunion's worthy of it and everything? And they told me, nah, I mean, Harris is good and everything, but he was only here for 3 seasons. And I think, out of the current players and everything, I think Ali Bedoya would be an interesting piece and everything. He's the captain, and he came over here from FC Nantes and everything, whereas the second highest transfer fee we've ever played for a player. He's from New Jersey and everything. I mean, he's a player that's given his all for this club in the short amount of time he's been here and everything. But, I guess if you start looking at Mendunion or Ali Bedoya, you're like, okay, well, did they really do enough to get into the Ring of Honor? Because I feel like the Ring of Honor should be for the players that, is given their all for the club and everything, that have done a tremendous job representing this club and that have not only been a good player on the field, but been a good player in the community and everything. And I guess if you open up to so many other players, then it's just the Ring of really, really good, not the Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I agree, though. I mean, Bedoya would probably be my first choice as a current player. I don't know if it's just because he's captain or because it does seem like he gives his all every time. He actually seems to care and have a lot of passion when he plays. But, yeah, aside from that, I mean, any current player, it's tough to say. It's tough to stack anyone next to Letou. I mean, I think he he was not only beloved, but the numbers are just blow everybody else away and his tenure here. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess now's the time to wrap this episode up. So why don't you go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, aoliver777. I guess if anyone wants to get a win in FIFA, because I'm probably trash, it's aoliver777 on Xbox. That's about it. On Facebook too, but mostly posting Union stuff, so nothing too crazy.
FIFA on Xbox, man. We will definitely talk after the show and everything, because when I had Jonathan, I'm sure people were like, yeah, that's enough FIFA talk and everything. So yeah, I will not hang up on you as soon as we get done and everything, because I'll talk FIFA with you. But thank you so much, Anthony, for coming onto the show and everything. And if you guys aren't following the podcast on social media, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at FreeKickPod. And if you haven't found where to listen to us at, you can find us wherever you get your podcast by searching The Free Kick. And if that doesn't pop up, then you can put in The Free Kick and then Todd Lewis, and you'll find me that way. And don't forget, we have a brand new website called thefreekickpodcast.com. That's where you can find all of our episodes. If you can't find us on iTunes, Spotify, all that jazz, you can learn a little bit more about myself, about the show, and we have a lot planned for when the season starts and everything. So I'm looking forward to just everything we have planned for the website and everything. And like I said, thank you so much, Anthony, for coming on.
No, thank you, man. Listen, I owe you a beer at first game I see you. Hopefully it's a home opener.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll give you a sticker. I told Adam Booth, I have a sticker coming his way. And for anybody that I've had on the show and everything, I got stickers for you guys. And even if you haven't been on the show and everything, just come meet me someplace in the stadium. We can arrange, and I'll give you guys a sticker. So it's always a pleasure when I get to talk to Union fans, when I get to meet you guys in person and everything. And I appreciate the offer, Anthony.
No problem. All right, hope to see you around, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that said, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.